Wake that ass up.
Early in the morning.
The Breakfast Club.
Morning, everybody. It's DJ Envy, Angela Yee, Charlamagne the Guy. We are the Breakfast Club. We got a special guest on the line, Denise Rodriguez. Good morning.
Hi. Good morning. How are you guys?
Is this the one that Coquito Poppy, a.k.a. Dramos, has a crush on?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
You guys, don't embarrass him. He's not here in the room.
Our board of Dramos has a super crush on you, Denise. I think Angela Yee was with you.
Oh,
somewhere.
really?
Yeah, they were on
Were y'all
vacation.
somewhere, Yee?
Vacation, yeah. He was trying to FaceTime you all the time. He talks about you all the time. I don't know if you're single or not, but he's a good guy.
I don't even know what we're talking about.
He got bored up. His name is Dramos. We call him Coquito Poppy.
Okay.
Well,
okay.
This is business here. So, Denise, we want to thank you for joining us.
She said, I don't even know who he's
For
talking
having
about.
me. Oh my God.
And listen, you're starring in this YouTube series, and I did meet you in Mexico. You were with Jesse Terrero, and he's one of the producers on the series, Bravas.
Right.
And so let's talk about Bravas for a second and who your character was on the show. So tell us what Bravas is about for people who haven't seen it.
So Bravas is a new YouTube original series. It's a scripted show. It's based off of like urban Latin music, and it's based on like 3 main girls, and then it kind of filters out to 2 more stories, and then I'm one of the 2. I work with the 2 main girls in the club, and off of my storyline, the girls get inspired to write and come out with their first real song on the show, and that kind of like launches out like their career in the music industry. And the show is based out of Puerto Rico. It shines light on a lot of things that happen in the country of Puerto Rico and my country of Dominican Republic, which is where I'm from. And it's executive produced by Nati Natasha. It has really cool old school artists in the Latin community as well featured in the show, like We Seen, De La Ghetto, like a few cool people. So it's a good show.
In Spanish?
It is, but there's subtitles. So if you don't speak Spanish, you can watch it still.
This is
What if I
Dramos
can't
right here.
read?
I don't even know how Dramos got here. Like, what did make Dramos?
But DJ, Dramos, why are you in this interview? You've never hopped on an interview before.
Y'all are slandering me. That's why I gotta.
Take your goddamn mask off.
All right, relax. Can everybody just calm down for a
Like
second?
her, but come on with a mask.
And nobody's even there. You're there by yourself.
What?
Anyway, this is not about Dramos. This
Say
is
hi,
about Denise.
Dramos.
Hello, how are you?
Say hi, Dramos.
Bro, I just, you guys are making it weird. I just was a fan of the show. Y'all making it like I got a crush.
You have not
Dude.
seen the show. You're a liar.
I
You're
have
stuttering.
seen the show. Of course I've seen the show.
Could you
What's
say
my
hi?
character's name?
What's that?
What's my character's name?
Noel.
Well,
Yeah,
Angela,
that's
I know
what I was
you
about to
watched it.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
just ruined it.
Come on, Yee.
Jesus Christ. Yee.
Come on, Yee. Jesus.
That's
I'm
what
trying to make Dramos more comfortable. I'm trying to
I
help
love
him
it.
here.
I love it.
you guys. I don't know.
No,
what
So
to
you
now-
still haven't said hi. You haven't even
I said
hello.
hello. You guys keep cutting me off. Hi, how are you?
Good.
I
How are
apologize
you?
for them.
No worries.
So embarrassing.
That's all you got, Dramos?
Dramos,
What do you want? I'm not trying to hit on her. I was just saying I like the show. I was just telling you I like the
Yee,
show.
Stop
I
talking.
respect it.
Give him 30 seconds. I want to see what he does. Just give
Go,
him.
Dramos, go.
I'm not doing, guys. I got a girl. Y'all gonna get me in trouble
Oh,
over here.
now you got a girl.
Oh,
There we
my
go.
God.
I've always had a girl. You guys just like to ignore it.
How do you say loser in Spanish?
Oh my God.
Respect that. I
Respect
respect
that.
it.
Respect that. Now,
That's it. But you know, Denise, that is one of the themes on the show too, as well, because
Right.
there is one guy who is a bit of a, well, there's a couple that are a bit of a womanizer on the
Right.
show. And I had to look at the main character. Was it Mila? Is that her name?
Mila, yes.
Yeah, Mila.
Yeah.
And so she's dating a guy on the show, but he's all over the place and dating several different women. And, you know, it's
Right.
really hard for her to kind of
He's an
separate her-
artist. Right.
Mhm.
How-
Yeah,
how,
so-
how would a show relate to young Latinos around the world?
Honestly, I think that it's a really good show out, especially right now with what's happening, to kind of inspire everyone, I believe, to go after their dreams. Mila, the character that Angela was just speaking about, the show is mainly focused on her, and she, you know, you could see her story from working at Brava, which is the club we work at. I work with her, and Roja, which is the other main girl on the show. And they go from working at the club and hustling to coming out by the end of the show and releasing music and performing. They end up in Dominican Republic to do this really big festival that they do over there to showcase their first song. And I think it just shines light on following your passion and not letting the struggles of life. And the show is filmed in Puerto Rico, so it shows that struggle also of living in a country like that and pursuing your dreams. So I think it just inspires the younger generation, because the whole cast is like our age. It's like kind of like tailored to that like 18 to 25 range. And I think it just inspires us to follow our passion no matter what, because the show shows a lot of struggles, but they get through it.
When are y'all gonna start shooting again? I know pandemic, I know everything was shut down. What are y'all guys slated to start shooting again?
Well, season 2, we don't know about it yet.
Really?
We kind of we just released season 1, and it gets 8 episodes long. And I think last week was the last episode that went live. Now everyone can watch the full season on YouTube, on Nati Natasha's YouTube page. And we don't know about a second season yet. So
y'all got some big numbers though, right?
Yes, the first episode actually reached like 1 million views within 4 days. It was crazy. And the first episode already like passed 1 million views as well. And the response has been really, really good. And because it tailors also to the urban Latin music community, it's like a melting pot of all this talent. And I mean, there was one of my friends related it to Stars, like a Spanish version of Stars. And I think that was a really good comparison, because I also believe it's almost like that show. So yeah.
Denise, I know nothing about Latin urban music. I know Bad Bunny, J Balvin. But I don't know anything about it. Like, what is the Latin urban music scene like?
Well, I'm not really in the music industry directly like that, but I'm Dominican. I was born in New York, but I was raised completely Hispanic at home. I only speak Spanish with my parents, and I'm in the industry in that sense. And what I could tell you is that it's spicy. Urban Latin music is very sensual. It's very much about like feeling your emotions and feeling good. And I don't know, it makes you want to dance. It's like that type of music that comes on and you just like start like stomping your foot, and it just gets you in like a happy mood. Urban Latin music for me like resonates to my roots. So yeah.
And even with a show like Bravas, it's a universal type of show. Just the themes on it, even it's empowering for women, and just to see like all of the friends and how they support each other. But then as you begin to get more fame, sometimes things also get a little shaky with friendships. You know, there's those type of issues, but also the struggles that women have, even in the world when it comes to men, right? Like working in a club like Bravas, where a guy feels like he can just slap you on the ass because of how you're dressed, and things like that can happen, or how men feel like they can approach you in any way and they're not used to a woman standing up for herself. There's a part where there's a freestyle battle, and Mila is battling that. By the way, they didn't put subtitles on that part, so I had no idea what was going on.
Listen, everyone that I've watched the show with that doesn't speak Spanish tells me the same thing, because they're like, yo, it sounds like she's spitting. And I'm like, she is. If you guys could understand what she's saying, like she went in, and the really cool thing about the show is that all the songs that the girls released, even the last song, which was like the main song of the show, which is based off of my character's story in the show, they wrote that. They were in the studio, they wrote that themselves for this show. And definitely, I wish you guys would have had subtitles, because she was throwing bars. But definitely, it shines light on men and the industry. It shines light
domestic violence.
Domestic violence, which is what my character goes through. Ginoelle is, she works at the bar with Mila and Roja, which are the 2 main girls, and she's kind of like this mysterious girl. No one really knows what's wrong with her. She kind of comes off like she thinks she's better than everyone. But in reality, it's that she's dealing with a secret at home, and it's because she's in an abusive relationship, a domestic violence abusive relationship. And slowly throughout the show, you figure that out. And it shines a lot of light on that. And personally, for me, when I was in Puerto Rico shooting the show, I sat down with one of the writers, Keisha, because she wanted to explain to me why this was written in the show. And at the time, I wasn't aware, but apparently domestic abuse is really, really I mean, right now skyrocketing in Puerto Rico, in Dominican Republic. And this was happening. I shot this last year. And now my mother, like, she updates me as well. And she literally just told me a few days ago, they're finding a dead girl every single day, like chopped up in the trunk by her boyfriend. And the government isn't really shining light on it. So, you know, Keisha really wanted to write that in the show, so that now I'm looking through my messages in my Instagram and on my socials, people responding back like, thank you so much for shining light on this through your character. And definitely you see that throughout the show, not only in my storyline, but in the other girls as well. And, you know, it shows also how we dealt with it. Like, you know, at the end of the show, you see me really walk away from him, but in the beginning, I'm not. So I don't know, it kind of shines light on that as well.
Were you able to build a connection with your character on the show?
I, you know, thank God, have never been in an abusive relationship, but I really wanted to embody G Noel when I was on set. So with my acting coach, Sandra, which she was amazing, that helped. But I also did my own little research on the back end. I watched the Tina Turner movie, What's Love Got to Do with It? Classic. And I watched it multiple times. The first time I watched it mainly to really like intake her story, like Tina Turner, what she went through being in an abusive relationship and, you know, her story. Then I watched it again to watch Angela and how she executed that role, which was magnificent. I was astonished with how she did it. So once I watched that, I connected to my own emotions, how I could connect to G Noel's emotions, and, you know, try to execute it as best as I could on screen.
What got you into acting? What was the deciding factor to say, hey, this is something I want to do?
So when I was in high school, I went to school in Miami. I was born in New York, but I moved to Miami when I was 3 years old. I was raised there. And in high school, we were allowed to pick academies. And throughout the 4 years of high school, you were kind of like centered in that academy, and they kind of like tailored you. So I chose acting. So I was in theater acting, and it's definitely different than being on screen, but it started from there, from high school, wanting to be an actress.
I wonder, do you think it's more beneficial for Hispanics to see these stories, or is it more beneficial for other Americans to see Hispanic stories?
Honestly, in my opinion, I think it's equally as good for both. One, Hispanics, just because I feel like we might feel like there's no real representation, you know, sometimes for us in our culture and what we go through and the struggles. And then also for other cultures to see what we go through, because I think that we might be a little tone deaf to each other's struggles. And then once we realize that we kind of go through the same things, just in our own little different way, like maybe I go through the same thing just in Spanish and you are going through it in another language, but the struggles essentially in the core are the same. So once the other cultures see what we go through, they could relate. And I think our culture too, like our younger generations and the older generations, like I spoke with, you know, the older family members in my family, and with the show, even though it's tailored to a younger audience, they could relate to it as well, because it's almost the first time they see this really being represented on the screen, because DR was really like represented, Puerto Rico was, which is amazing for us in our culture.
Are you surprised with the support that you get from so many different genres or so many different personalities and nationalities of people? Because, I mean, when I was a kid, I would never watch a show where I didn't understand that. I would have to read the subtitles. But now It seems like on Netflix, there's so many shows that I'm into because of the subtitles, you know?
Right.
See that change? And are you surprised by that?
I definitely am, because just like you, me too, I like found myself on Netflix really intrigued with other language that like shows and whatever. And it was interesting for me to really be interested in like an Italian movie or whatever. And that's amazing, because then I could relate to an Italian friend that I might have in the future, etc. And I am surprised by it, but I'm so pleased, because even, let's say with Bravas is a Spanish scripted, it's just all in Spanish. So even all my friends, most of my friends don't speak Spanish, but because of the new era of you still being interested, they're hooked on the show and they're watching every episode and they're commenting and telling me what they think, and they don't even speak the language. They're not Hispanic, they're not Latinos. And that to me means everything, because they're resonating with my story and they're not even from my country. And that means everything to me. So I'm surprised, but I'm really happy about it too.
It is true that you have to pay extra attention too. Like you can't even like go in the kitchen and make, because you have to be what's happening.
You might
on the
miss
screen.
something. No, even with, look, it's so funny because when I was with you in Mexico, I had just finished shooting the show, but I didn't know what it was going to come out looking like. You know, I watched it the first time with everyone. And definitely I noticed that, like, okay, this is the way they put everything together, even our individual storylines. If you're not paying attention, you can miss something. And especially with G Noel, my scenes on the show, I don't speak a lot, but I mainly talk with my emotions. And when I'm on screen, the only way I can get through to the viewer is by what I'm feeling and what I'm showing through the camera, just through my emotions, which is so difficult to do. But if you miss one little moment, you're going to kind of miss the essence of that one scene, you know?
Because you know how you'll be like on your phone while you're watching something, but you're listening. But what was good about it is put your phone down and pay full attention to what's going on. And I realized that's something that I don't always do. And so when I was watching Bravas, I was paying like full attention, couldn't even look down for a second because I was like, I don't miss anything.
I love that. Yeah, that, which, you know, having to read subtitles as well, like I think that also connects you because you're there like really trying to understand. So you will grasp the storylines, and it definitely keeps you intrigued throughout the whole season. Honestly, all 8 episodes, it's like a twist and turn from the beginning to the end. And they did a really good job with how they pieced everything together and really shining light not only on the culture of Puerto Rico, the culture of as well Dominican Republic, where I'm from, and also, like you were saying, like how men treat women, how women stand up for men, or just Latinos, how the struggle in our countries of like making it. Mila goes through a lot before she ends up being on stage and performing her song. And it really shows that with G Noel. It showcases my struggle of not knowing how to defend myself, going back to the relationship, wanting to walk away. There's a scene with Mila where I sit down and it's the first time I open up to her about anything, any marks on me, which I hid before. I would cover them when I would come to work. These are real things. There's real women out there that are in abusive relationships that no one knows about, that you see and you think, oh yeah, she's beautiful, she's happy, and everything's probably perfect in her life. Little do you know, she goes back home and it's terror. So this is actually happening. And I love this show.
And you end up defending the man too, when people are like, you need to leave him, you need to, and you're like, no, you know, I love him, we're together, we're fine, we're good.
Right. And even there's a moment where I tell her, like, I never broke up with him, but I was just in a vulnerable place maybe days ago, letting you know, like, I need help. But then fast forward, it's, you know, it's a roller coaster of emotion when you're in an abusive relationship. And that's something I learned through studying, you know, when I was trying to shoot the show and execute the role of G Noel. I really wanted to understand why women, one, stay in abusive relationships, and why they even happen. Like, how do you even get there? And, you know, through my research, I found out a lot. There was one scene I wanted to share with you guys where it was the car scene. Remember that scene, Angela? Where he
and she
that was
right out of the car.
Right. That scene is the most intense scene I had to film. And I remember Jesse, the director, shout out to him. He came to me. We shot that scene a few times. And the first few times we shot it, I was responding to the scene in an angry way, you know, because it was one of the 2 scenes that he put his hands on me. And initially my first response was anger. I just wanted to defend. But when you're in an abusive relationship, it's more, I understood, of disappointment. In that moment where he's about to put his hands on you, the woman feels so disappointed because she's not expecting someone she loves to disrespect her to that degree. So in reality, in that situation, you don't respond out of anger. You respond out of fear, essentially, and then disappointment and sadness. And you're just taken aback of this person's reaction to you. And then when I tapped into that, he came over to me. He's like, hey, let's try to be a little bit more emotional towards this. And I didn't understand it until I clicked, like, okay, I'm responding like Denise. Gina Well is in an abusive relationship, and her emotions are completely different. And in this situation right now, in this car where he's about to put his hands on me, this is my man that I would never expect him to do anything to harm me. That's the mindset I need to get in and respond that way, which was challenging. It was tough. And, you know, thank God we had an acting coach on set. Like after every scene that was intense like that, she was behind the camera, ready to embrace me if she needed to, ready to bring me back to like the present moment. Because when you're tapping into such deep emotion, you know, as an actor, you mentally get yourself there. However it is you need to, when you're trying to do an intense emotional scene, you get yourself there. And being in an abusive relationship is very, very, very tough. I applaud any woman that gets out of it safely.
You know, I got a question. When you're a minority, we always got to worry about how our community will receive the content we're putting out, because we represent, you know, this community that's underrepresented. How do you keep a show like this from being stereotypical?
Well, I think that, you know, what's funny, I'm not getting into politics at all, but I will say this. I believe that what they've made us think is a minority is actually the majority. And because of that, I believe that when shows like Brava come out and shine light on our community of the Hispanic community or the things we go through, the stereotypes, at the end of the day, people are going to think, people are going to say what they want to say and think what they want to think. But the show specifically of Brava, I believe, is so honest with the storylines. Like everything is so relatable. I think it's raw. It shows me, I'm a bartender. Mila is a bartender who has dreams of becoming this artist. Roja is a DJ with dreams of becoming like a bigger DJ and a bigger artist. Like, these are real stories. I have friends that are in these shoes right now. So the stereotypes and falling into that, I feel like it's inevitable, but if it's true to what it is, people are going to see it. I think it's obvious.
I feel like Dramos had a question he wanted to ask, and that's why he's here, because I know you watched the series.
No, you guys are talking about me, so I popped in. But no, I mean, I don't have a question. I would just say that I'm happy that our generation is having these kinds of conversations and bringing things to light that I feel like the previous generation just kind of swept under the rug. You know, I mean, my mom, her first marriage was an abusive relationship, and you know, when she got divorced, it was like people looked down upon her for ending that marriage, and they basically let the guy slide, you know?
Right.
So we're breaking these generational curses that, you know, we all inherited, and I love to see that. And the last thing I would say about that as well is any Hispanics out there watching this, all this stuff, you have to support when these projects come out, because that's the only way more of it gets made. And that's the only way we see more representation. So go out there, watch it, and support these projects that come out there, so we can see more people that look like us doing great things like this.
Right.
So that's it.
Denise, I need to let you know Dramos hated Bad Bunny when Bad Bunny.
That's not true. Oh my God.
He's lying. Don't listen
Do
to
not
him.
put that out there, bro.
Lulu and Lala told me you're a liar.
No.
Oh, no.
My first time seeing Bad Bunny, he was wearing like the shortest jean shorts I've ever seen in my entire life. So like I didn't get it. I hadn't heard any music. I had zero context, so I didn't understand. I came from like growing up on like Daddy Yankee and stuff like that, you know, so like I didn't understand it, but
it was different for you. It was
exactly. But I
now Dramos wears those same shorts all the time.
You're goddamn right, I do.
Listen, that's what makes Bad Bunny unique. That's just him, you know. But to piggyback off of what you said, I agree. I think that I'm also proud of that as well, where we're shining light on those situations to our generations. Because like you said, in the past generations, when I speak about these things with like my parents and stuff, it is very normal to just stick it through for your family. As the woman, that is our job, is to just stick it through. When in reality, disrespect is disrespect. It's just simple as that. And a man shouldn't be disrespected, but neither should be the woman. We should both be valued at such a high standard where we're both equal. And domestic abuse is just like another caliber of you thinking that that's okay. And the past generations not knowing, I also think it's almost, it wasn't their fault. They didn't know any better. And now our generation, we're so vocal, we're so open with what we go through. Like if I'm feeling anxious, I'm like, yeah, I feel anxiety right now. My mom, my parents, we never spoke about, oh, I have anxiety. Or even if I wasn't in a relationship where it needed some type of help from outside, I don't know any of my parents' struggles, like, or family members' struggles in relationships. Everything's private. We don't talk about anything as if nothing exists. but things are still happening, and they do exist. And if we don't speak about them, we're never going to fix it. And something like domestic abuse is, personally, when I was shooting the show last year, I had no idea it was this bad. And in Puerto Rico at the time last year, it was so bad that the government wasn't doing anything to help these women get out of these relationships. And even when they were being found dead by the hands of their boyfriends, there was no justice made for these women. And on the show, G-Noel gets justice because we're trying to change the narrative as much as we can. So yeah, I agree. I'm happy about that.
But you guys watch Bravas. I feel like we gave away a lot of it, but you should still watch it.
Yeah, you should still watch it.
Yeah,
thank you for
to see
sharing
how
your story.
everything.
Definitely check it out. I'm intrigued. I'm definitely gonna check it out.
Thank you.
And I'm happy. I like what you said about changing a lot of the narratives, because that's what it's all about when we're in these positions. We got to change the narratives. We got to change the stereotypes.
Right.
Like they always say, Dominican men wear white jeans all the time.
Charlamagne tried to be Dominican. Charlamagne went to, what was that store? Century 21?
Yeah, that's how this all started. He went to Century 21, and the woman that worked there was like, Charlamagne came in here looking for some white jeans.
That is
really?
White
that is
jeans.
not true.
I mean, you could pass for a Dominican. I mean, all of us can, honestly, at this.
Yeah, it's all different shades,
We all different shades, and I definitely agree. I think that changing these stereotypes, like, I forgot his name. He was on the call.
Dramos.
How he was saying Dramos, how he was saying
the Dramos. You didn't make an impact.
It's fine.
No, yes, he did.
Continue on, Denise. It's okay. It's fine.
You did. But how you were saying how, these generational curses, I think, like Charlamagne, to go off of what you're saying of changing those stereotypes, is the same thing as generational curses to me, where it's like, no, I'm not going to fit into your idea of what a Latina woman in the industry should be. I'm different, and I'm going to show you different, so you understand that the stereotype is shifting. And I personally took that up. Even when I moved to LA, I'm in LA right now, but I was from Miami, and I moved here 3 years ago. But before I moved, I knew I was going to fight a stereotype. I knew that there was a specific perception of who I am before they even met me. And that I understood the moment I was on my way to LA, so that when I got here, I could shift it and I could be myself and help you understand that this stereotype is not for all of us. We're different. Right. And,
I love how Dominican women say my name. It sounds like a Spanish Asian hybrid dish. Charlamagne.
Charlamagne. Yeah, it does sound like a dish. If I do a cookbook, I will name a dish after it.
Well, thank you for joining us. It's Denise.
Thank you for having me.
Make sure y'all check out Bravas. It's about strong women. It's very empowering. It's about friendship. And I know y'all had a real friendship while you guys were filming. So
we did.
And I think that's important.
It was great.
All right. Well, thank you, Denise. Appreciate it. And I will see you soon in person.
You, Denise.
Thank you.
So thank you guys so much for having me. It was a pleasure.
Dramos, say goodbye. Being rude.
What? Goodbye, Denise. Very nice meeting you.
Bye. Nice meeting you. Say hi to your girlfriend.